We are here today with Henry Kissenger. It's a pleasure to have you on the Orango Network today with all of us. Mr. Kissenger will be discussing the Vietnam War, along with some aspects of its influence upon the war and his personal life. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, Mr. Kissenger.
I'm happy to join you guys.
Mr. Kissenger, where did you study to get your PhD?
I studied at Harvard. It helped me to become a more successful individual and gave me the understanding of situations I had to deal with during the times of my life in Vietnam.
What positions have you held in the government of the United States?
In 1973, I was voted in as Secretary of the State, and I ended up ending the Vietnam War.
Did you ever serve in the United States military?
I served in the U.S. Army in 1952. That also had an impact on my views of war and how we can have peace talks and resolutions for countries.
On the Vietnam War.
Well, I was involved in the peace talks to help end the war, and I helped bring that whole situation to a close there in Vietnam.
What did the American people think about the Vietnam War?
Well, most of the people didn't like the war for many reasons. One, people thought, that after the war it was going on for a while, we were losing troops, it was bloody, it was nasty, and we just needed to pull out, and it seemed like the right solution for that time. Another view that people were really looking down on us as a country, thinking we shouldn't be there, and people were for the war, but some were a lot against it.
Why was peace so very important in Vietnam?
Well, to stop the war and losing the lives of the Vietnamese people, and also to establish and rebuild their country, and so they could have a successful future.
Mr. Kissenger, what are your views on the Vietnam War?
Well, the Vietnam War, I wasn't a big fan of what they were doing there. I didn't see what they really ended up successfully setting up anything. We didn't really help out the people very successfully.
Do you think the Vietnam War was a success or a failure?
I wouldn't say it's either one, to be honest. We didn't really go accomplish what we went there to do. We didn't set up democracy. We lost a lot of men, a lot of lives. It was a bloody war. But, at the same time, it wasn't a loss for us either. We went there and we accomplished something.
Was the Vietnam War necessary, or could it have been avoided?
I think it was both necessary and avoidable. We went there with a mission to end communism, to set up a democracy. But in the same way, it wasn't necessarily our responsibility to go there and take care of their problems.
Mr. Kissenger, why did you want the war to end?
I wanted the war to end because too many young men were losing their lives over there for a cause that just wasn't just for the time. I thought that we really just weren't getting done what we should have, and we were better off to make peace with them and get our men with them.
Mr. Kissenger, what other conflicts have you been involved in since the Vietnam War?
Well, I was the Secretary of State during the Watergate scandal and also had some conflicts in China that I also.
Do you see similarities between the current war and the Vietnam War?
Yes, actually there's one very similar detail between the two wars, is how we could have avoided both of them in a way through peace talks, but also in the way we declared war on the other countries because of the enemy and terrorist attack on us for them. They are similar for the ways we seem to not have as much support behind the war and also to help the other country with their conflicts.
Do you feel for the American soldiers of yesterday, today, and also tomorrow?
Yes, because I had a personal influence in remembrance as being a soldier, and also they serve our country and should benefit them.
Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Kissenger. It has been great talking to you and understanding your influence you had on the Vietnam War and some facts based upon your own life. We have gained great insight as well into your role as changing the United States of America by having major impact on the Vietnam War. It was great having you on the show.
It was a pleasure.